Hello, hello. Happy Saturday. I'm excited today to join you. To clean my glasses here. Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I am just flipping over to Facebook to make sure everyone can see me. If you're joining me today, you are either a new user or maybe you have questions. I'm going to try running these. If the time or the day or none of that is working for you, then let me know. And I'm certainly flexible on my days and times. But I thought I'd try on a Saturday. Many of you tend to be home and later in the day. So I'm just going to share this to the VIP group. My apologies here. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Join me live. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Group. Sorry, guys. Technology is great till it's slowing you down. Join me. There. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Let's rock and roll. So I can tell that I even flipped my camera right because Life Pro is not backwards today. If you're joining me today, thank you. I'm going to open up comments here, and today I really want to give you guys a chance to blast me. If you're using a plate already and you're coming from a place of experience, you're going to have different questions than if you're just starting out. I'm happy to talk about different movement types today. I'm going to talk about, how you use it if you're dealing with chronic symptoms. I'm going to do a very brief overview on how to start and progress for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we're going to get into some open questions. So I would appreciate, depending on how many of you are here come question time, if for some reason you can't join me for the beginning portion, I'm going to cover a lot of the common questions that come up with that. And today I'm going to be working on a Rumblex Plus. I personally prefer a flat surface machine. I deal with a lot of chronic, a lot of acute things, and it's more functional. It's more like how we walk across the floor. So that's the reason for my preference. If you are working with a curved plate, they present a little more resistance, a little bit more challenge. And if you're dealing with things like hypermobility or just weakness, the lessons that I teach you today, whether you're using a flat or a curved surface or pulsation mode or lateral, the moves are universal, but oscillation, which is the primary movement of all of Life Pro's plates, it's the one that moves like we walk. That's the primary movement. It feels the most natural to us because it mimics how we walk. And so all of my sessions are always in oscillating when I'm with Life Pro because it's the one movement that every plate offers. So whether you're on a mini or a waiver or a turbo or a hovert or one of the Rumblex models, what I'm doing today is oscillating movement in manual mode. And I just want to teach you that there's a little bit more to it with oscillating. There's a little bit more that you control to customize your experience. And I just once you kind of understand that, then you can play with any speed or any program because you always know how to kind of modify it for your sensitivities and just how it feels to you, depending on what you're doing. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Jerry. I do not know what happened to the closed caption. Is that something I have control over? Let me see. 2 secs before I continue to ramble. I'm not an expert at this, but I am trying. No, I don't see a closed caption option here. Sorry. Perhaps on the replay. I don't know, maybe not on the live. Jerry, I'm sorry about that. I will try to talk louder than usual. I have a big boom mic here you don't see above my head that I can't do the wireless thing. So for me, I got into this with a bad knee. I needed to lose a lot of weight, which, there's lots of different reasons you are drawn to using a plate. I kind of break them into 4 different things. And while I'm going through my things, I invite you to join me. I've got a stool here today. If you're not using a stool and you're able to stand, I tend to talk a little. So if you've already done a workout, I'm going to be going through some settings and how to modify positions. But I want to start seated. And I'm on the wrong end of the machine. Okay. So in most of Life Pro's models, but I'm working with the Rumblex, as soon as you turn your machine on, you've got your little forward arrow, the play button. As soon as you hit play, it should start moving very slowly, tilting from side to side, kind of like a mini teeter-totter. And this movement mimics how we walk across the floor. The advantage, I feel personally, in my almost 2 decades of experience using vibration plates of all types, is oscillating is more preferred for, I think, a couple of reasons. As far as how it feels, if you're not coming from a terribly active place, it presents a way to just move, get lymph and circulation going, but in a natural way. It mimics that tilting of the pelvis as we walk across the floor. But what people more commonly seek these machines for is fitness gains. And what I want to talk about today is absolutely fitness gains. But most of you are coming from a place of, you've had an injury. Maybe you're dealing with a chronic condition. My trained athletes, they're probably not buying a Life Pro just to get active for the first time. They understand what a good squat looks like, technique, things like that come into fitness a little more. So for those of you just starting out, if you're dealing with any issues at all, bad knee, fatigue, arthritis, conditions, diseases, they all present lots of different symptoms. But symptoms can be similar between conditions. So I always talk conditions. Swelling is an example. You can get swollen because you're sitting at your desk too much. It doesn't mean that you have a chronic condition. So the first aspect of using a vibration plate is general health and exercise benefits. And, it moves you. And one of the things that is required for our fascia and our lymphatic system is when we move, they're engaged and they are moving. Circulation, your heart is moving blood through our system differently. But unless you're moving, lymph is not moving. And many of you, I need to do lymphatic drainage. What setting, what program? So just sitting here with the plate on the lowest setting right now, my feet are hip width apart, and I'm moving without really any effort on my part at all. So if I decided to put in a little effort, I would, focus on my posture. Maybe I'm engaging my core. I would suggest, and this is just a personal preference, there is no perfect way to use the machine, but I'm going to ask you to put your manual aside. I talked earlier about training athletes and how, in my experience, many of you are dealing with something, whether it's a major condition or just an old injury, or, maybe you're just deconditioned and out of shape. So the really slow speeds are kind of choppy. They're kind of wobbly. They're the destabilizing speeds if you start looking at the research. And everybody wants to improve their balance. Oscillating, and one of the major advantages of it is, whether you're seated or standing, it does improve your balance and stability within the course of the first session. It is what I refer to as a forever benefit. There's certain benefits that you always get, and it's kind of like a side effect of using certain types of vibration plate movement. What I can't do is make you do it regularly. That's really the key to a lot of these benefits and how they're so passively obtained. So if I'm on an extreme end of the scale and I have very poor gait and I'm at high risk of falling and I have advanced osteoporosis and I got MS and who knows what I might be dealing with, I suggest you spend most of your time starting out seated. Start building from the foundation up. And I would like you to try, this is where I step away from the manual a little bit, I would like you to try a faster speed. No, I don't want your feet out here. Notice how you can even hear the machine sound change. We all forget what it was like on the playground when we were children and we were playing on things like teeter-totters and swings. The outer edges, the wider you go with your feet, the more shake. Everybody can feel it. But it's also more movement or more impact. My machine and yours may also have a jogging position. If you're unable to go for a jog now, you have absolutely no business using the jogging feature. It's not going to hurt you, but you're certainly putting yourself at risk of over exercising very quickly. You're not used to that amount of impact. And most plates also have a preset time. So, you're playing around. I've already talked 5 minutes. It's very easy to go longer than you should, especially if you're dealing with chronic issues. So if I'm that osteoporosis 80-year-old lady that is 65 pounds soaking wet, the bones are going to get stronger through bearing your mass, not a setting, not a program, but you got to find your level of comfort and understanding in using the plate first. So the control is in your foot position. If you go wider, you're moving more, you're getting more impact. If you come closer, you're moving less, you're getting less impact. And you can get to those mid and higher speeds with the feet closer. So this is just another way of mixing up the two settings you control in oscillating movement. So now that my feet are closer, you'll notice with a faster speed, it's quite a bit smoother. It's less choppy. It's less jarring. And if you are dealing with arthritic joints, pain of any kind, choppy and jarring is not your friend. And we think instinctively like a treadmill, like we should go slow. I encourage you to experiment if you're a new user, if you're an existing user, with bringing the feet closer and cranking the speeds up a bit, especially for the self-care, the symptom management, the health and feel-good type stuff, okay? If you are only limited to sitting, there's lots of things that you can do. There's all kinds of yoga chair exercise programs. There's all these things on the internet. Instead of just sitting here, maybe you're doing some little foot pumps. Maybe you're doing some walking. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of different elaborate exercises. I've got sessions upon sessions that I've done for just seated ideas. And what ideas should I do on the machine? What are your goals? Are you just looking at moving and feeling better and using this as a therapeutic tool? Or do you want to lose 100 pounds and get some tone going? That's very much going to dictate what type of exercises you should be doing on the plate position-wise. But you got to start somewhere. And maybe you're not able to perform standing exercises yet. Or if you are, maybe you fatigue quickly and you're only able to stand a little bit. So once you go from sitting to standing on the machine, the hips, the upper body, the movement is being accepted, and your stabilization changes because now your body not only is moving back and forth, but while it's doing this, you don't feel it, you don't purposefully think about it, but it's perpetually trying to balance itself on this surface. So that the advantage that oscillating movement has over any other movement is your body is ever destabilizing on this platform, and it's forced to keep itself upright. So when I'm working with extreme things like that osteoporosis where we want to reduce the falls, or perhaps it's Parkinson's, or conditions where we want to reduce the falls, standing, just as needed throughout the course of the day. Maybe it's 1 minute. Maybe you start like this for 30 seconds, and once you get a little life and energy into your body, then you progress to standing. Standing up off of the stool can be a little scary if you're dealing with balance issues. So maybe you want to place something in front of you to hang on to. You could use a bar height stool or a chair back. I suggested in my posts across the internet before we started today to put a bar height stool in place. The reason I like a bar height stool is once your feet are on the plate, you're up a little bit higher, and it's more functional if you can be seated at that 90-degree angle versus downhill with the hips. So the stool, maybe you just want to target the hips, and it can give you something to rest on. If you had a chair back on this, you could have something to hang on to. I have ladders. Maybe you position your plate beside your kitchen island or the back of a couch. If you are dealing with poor balance, I suggest using both the stool and something to hang on to. So fast forward a little bit. For those of you that, this is enough already and it's been fearful and you'd kind of like to sit back down, I invite you to do that. For the rest of you that are using your plates more regularly, or you're in a little bit better shape, or you're comfortable and you've played around a little bit, in oscillating movement, there's a couple of different ways that you can get more bang for your buck. And again, the positions that I do on the plates are kind of universal. In a vertical or your pulsation setting type of machine, there's a little bit more resonance. And resonance is, what it feels like as it travels throughout your body. Think of plucking the strings of a guitar, and there's that reverberation, if you will. So if you're standing very tall, and you can hear it in my voice already, my nose is tickling, my ears are going. If you're standing very tall, the resonance, the vibration, it doesn't just stop at your ankles or your knees. It keeps moving. Energy keeps moving. So it's going to go all the way up to your head. If you do not like how it feels on your head, not that it's harmful, but it does take some getting used to. And many of my ladies have, like, always neck tension and shoulder tension. And what we do when stimulation hits this area is the body, without even realizing it a lot of times, especially if you're a new user, we fight it. We tense up and we guard and we protect and we stick it for 5-10 minutes. And then you wonder why you got vertigo the next day or why you felt nauseous after using your plate. If you're standing on the plate and you're sensitive to the head vibrations, try and bend the knees a little bit more. Play with this. Just that subtle little bend, 90% of it shoots from the head to the shoulders and below. For my fitness dudes, or those of you looking to lose weight or wanting to get stronger, more functional, you can stand here, but the next progression would be if you're feeling stronger, you're feeling able, you do want to get, longer term benefits, then push yourself. Depending on what your range of motion, what issues you may be dealing with, if you bend a little deeper, all of a sudden you don't really even feel it much past the top of the hips. And all of a sudden these quads and these hamstrings and everything below the waist, just like if you were on the floor. So if I'm standing, this isn't too hard. But if you just do this, it's much harder to hold your body because the muscles are engaged. On the plate, all the plate is an environment that increases the benefits. And if you have chronic issues, maybe you're short on time, one of the reasons these vibration plates became so popular is they reduced exercise time. And I see all these questions. Oh, how long can I go? It's my second day and I've already gone 3 times for 30 minutes. Well, why? What are you trying to accomplish? So let's do some goal setting. If you want exercise benefits, you should progress to exercise things. This is just an environment that gets more. There's a stimulation added. You're getting side and forever benefits, as I mentioned, side benefits, if you will, increasing that circulation, boosting lymphatic movement, more destabilization, more muscle is engaged because whatever exercise it is that you're doing, your body's having to, do it while being shaken from side to side. What's beautiful about doing floor-based exercises on a vibration plate is it does present much less impact than, things like treadmills, running on the street, even ellipticals to a few, if you're dealing with joint issues, hypermobility, as I said, chronic inflammation. I recommend you can get a very effective workout in any position. Just don't move. Hold still. Pay attention to where you feel it firing. Maybe there's, one side you're trying to build up a little bit. Well, maybe shift over that way. Once you start feeling comfortable on the plate, start experimenting. What happens if I do this? Oh, that feels really good in the low back. Well, maybe what if I do this? Oh, that's such a great stretch. Oh, so if there's moves that you know how to do now, Or for those of you that are maybe in a therapy or a training program of some type, you have moves that you can be doing. The plate is a great way to just accelerate getting the work done, reducing the time you have to spend do it. And guess what happens all of a sudden? You start becoming more consistent in being active regularly. Long term, midterm, let's say to start. Midterm is when you start seeing the pounds, the shape change, the skin tone, the strength, the stamina. The short-term benefits, are kind of a way. Think of them as you're using those building blocks to progress. Maybe you're in a position where you can't do squats or you don't have energy. So using your plate in a therapeutic fashion it can be daily. It can be multiple times daily, but I recommend short, more frequent sessions versus a long workout. If you're at the workout point, you're able to do those exercises, you can start building towards those short to midterm benefits, building the strength, dropping the weight. And what you're going to start noticing is your range of motion, your stability, your stamina. Maybe you're not paying attention to those things. There's usually one or two key things you're kind of tuning into. Long term, things like better hormones. I'm not even getting into a big discussion like that. Better sleep patterns, better bone density. Bone density is not a setting. It is not a speed. It is not a type of vibration machine. It is about you getting on your plate regularly and bearing your mass. That's what builds strong bones. If you're willing to do things like this, where you're stressing those bones out, you're making the muscles and the tendons engage further, guess what? When your bones are challenged, they're going to step up to the party, and those osteoblasts are going to lay more bone down. If you're just sitting here for 30 minutes a day, your bones are only going to build to the activity you expect them to step up to. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone with advanced osteoporosis or PINA, at risk of falls or, post-cancer treatment can get right into a squat, but it's something to progress to. And it doesn't need to be a big old routine to get benefits. So seated, standing, for those of you that are new, for those of you that are existing, you've probably checked out the massage features. One of the added bonuses of using a vibration plate in your home spa, your home clinic, whatever you want to call your little self-care area. Maybe it's just a spot in your living room that you've dedicated. If range of motion allows. Now, when I talk about range of motion, it's not very often the getting down. It's more the getting back up. So many of you can get down on the ground. It's the getting back up that you need to be cognizant of. If you're not able to do squats and feel comfortable doing those type of things, focus on that to give you the range of motion to get to the ground. And on the ground, you can do anything from calf massages to hamstring massages to low back to butt. Don't think that the medical devices just did medical research. There was a lot of studies on cellulite and skin tone and catering to those that can sometimes afford that spa lifestyle. Don't think that vibration plates are not in fat clinics all across North America for that very reason. So it's a great post-exercise to a lot of fat treatments out there. If I'm speaking to my practitioners, if I'm speaking to my therapists, it's an amazing warm-up and recovery tool to complement other therapies. I do a lot of work with pediatric cerebral palsy, other special needs. And again, I can't stress enough, it's a way to move your body where some can't, period. So I'm not going to do a whole big massage routine because I actually did that last week with a beautiful red light set up on the ground. But if range of motion allows, you can do your calves. You can do your hamstrings. I'm a little tall, so I have to move up if I want to do my butt. There's all kinds of little tools. The step is a great tool to give you more surface, the same height as the machine. So maybe you're not having to get down as low. If you're super tall and you just want to laze your body out and maybe massage your back, so you can massage your back, but it's much more relaxing if my upper body is propped up on the stepper, so just to give you a visual. This is where, if range of motion allows, massage, I'm typically, like my standing exercises, I recommend anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes per exercise. It's really easy to get down here and get into it. But you have a lot of lymph, a lot of circulation going. For anyone starting out new, it's you kind of fool around and experiment, and it's easy to go too long. But once you kind of get figured out what feels good to you, outline some very simple goals. Feeling good use is very different than fitness. There's absolutely no reason you can't use this machine every day. Overdoing it is going to present the same as over exercise would. So if you overdo it at the gym or on a walk, how do you feel afterwards? Because a vibration plate is so good at expediting that lymph and boosting recovery, a lot of times, even if you're doing really intensive exercises and challenging yourself, you don't quite feel as sore the next day. And that's one of the reasons it's such an advantage to use it for your exercises, especially once you get a little post 40 like me. For a lot of my, medical use, my geriatric use, my seniors, not only is it something that allows you to move where possibly you're in a recovery or limited weight bearing situation. Hang on, I'm looking fuzzy. It's just as much an exercise machine as it is a feel good device. It's understanding the dosage, if you will, is different. So if you've overdone it on a vibration plate, if you had a negative experience in any way, 9 times out of 10, it's just a matter of modifying what you're doing on the plate. I get asked these questions all the time. Oh, I've been using my plate for 3 days now, and I had really bad vertigo. Well, what did you do? I went to the gym 3 days in a row, and I think I overdid it. Well, what did you do at the gym? We would lead to that type of a conversation. But when it comes to the vibration plates, and it's not anybody's fault, but with the Amazons and the eBays and this immediate diet pill environment that we live in to a degree in our world, we want immediate gratification. We want 50 pounds gone by tomorrow. I want you to be fair, be realistic with yourself. I want you to enjoy the time that you're on here. Maybe you're just starting by clearing some Facebook messages while you're sitting on it or using the stool. The key to unlocking the benefits of using your vibration plate is using it regularly. So maybe it's not a big workout every day. I beg those of you that are dealing with poor mobility, those who lack energy, if you're suffering symptoms in any way, to back off on time and intensity. Give it a couple of minutes, and it's such a fantastic tool to boost energy, less the caffeine. It's going to improve your mobility and your balance within one session. So there's no reason for you not to be able to even go about your day-to-day tasks in your home. It's a great tool to use, as I said before, other therapies. So if you're going for an adjustment, or maybe you are going to the gym, you got a great warm-up and a recovery tool. And if you're dealing with lymphatic compromised nerves, any systems in your body that need a little assistance, it's probably a good idea to do a little prep work before you do any activities. And the plate can really reduce the amount of time and really ramp up the self-care, if you want to look at it that way. I'm looking at all of these notes that I have, and there's contraindications. This is hard to wrap up in 15 minutes. So I think I'd prefer to get rid of the foggy and maybe just check and see what kind of questions we may have. Just to recap, I see Pam, I see Vicky, I see Jerry, I see Wanda, I see Diane. Hi, Diane. Long time no see. Diane and I were on a call the other night gossiping. She's known me for quite some time. She knows a lot of my laundry. All right, Vicky, right off the bat, my goal is to lose 25 pounds. Well, Vicky, I think not without divulging too many confidences, but we can all overdo it. And a lot of times, it's so funny for all the years I've been doing the plates. I often find my biggest disciplines, my folks that just have the biggest heart and are prepared to do the work, are the ones that don't have the bodies sometimes that support that. So be cautious if you do have, if it's a bad knee, bad shoulders, bad back. The plate is a great way to target certain areas. Use it therapeutically, maybe target, treat, and strengthen it so that you can facilitate getting to the exercises that you want to do. And it's not always exercises on the plate. Some of the best stories of clients that I've worked with as far as testimonials, like, I could talk bone density and weight loss and, that stuff all day, but it's little things like, You know, people used to come into my studio, these gals, they'd be like 85, 90, and they'd be like, oh, look. And I'd be like, what? I can undo my own bra from the back again. You know, until you lose certain abilities in your life. You know, another one was the water bottle. I can open my own water bottle. My favorite, I had a gentleman that had a very, very severe stroke. And I'm always about the caregivers too. If you're caring for other people, this is makes your care less physically taxing, and it fixes your back and your shoulders too. But I do this move on the machine, and you can do it seated, where I stretch my sciatic because I have a bad knee, so I got into this. So I go like this, and I wasn't paying attention, and this customer had a very poor stroke, had no range of motion, and about 4 times in a row, he was doing this. And I said, yeah, and he goes, I haven't been able to do that in 14 years. And, you know, things like that. That means he can put his own shoes on, people. That means he can take them off again. This was a big guy, 6'5", 6'6", and he used to have a team of people just to get him in and out of my studio. And after about 3-4 years, he just came by himself, and his wife went for tea. And, you know, so the consistency, I can't speak enough to the consistency. And don't beat yourself up if you're not doing the workout all the time. You know, sometimes it's just 2 to 3 minutes to fix your back, Vicky. Or maybe, you know, you did a big workout yesterday and you just want to do a little recovery or massage. So things like weight loss, especially post 40 for a woman, depending on when your day starts, so early in your day, whenever that is, it's about boosting that metabolism, firing up that oven in your system so that you are burning more idle calories throughout the course of your tasks throughout your day. So because of my bad knee, and my lack of diligence I really just can't do a long workout. I don't have the mental focus. I'm a busy mom. And, you know, I'm down about 60 pounds since I started. And it's not because I'm doing this for 20, 30 minutes a day. And if I am, it's because I'm laying all over it and doing the good stuff. I start my day with 3 to 4 really mean legs, whether that's a squat, whether that's a lunge, maybe just, you know, doing some dynamic movement, some step up, something that's going to fire up the quads and the glutes. If I'm having a day where my knee feels bad, then I don't move. If my knee's feeling good, well, maybe I do move. And if I overdid it, well, maybe I massage it and fix it on the machine after. The more you play and the more you experiment, the more you're going to find your own little niche. And don't get so hung up in exact numbers and settings and programs. It's such a unique experience to everyone. But oscillating movement has 2 factors. You know, you've got the speed you control, but a lot of people think wide is more benefit. And it's just a control mechanism. It's more what you can tolerate depending on the position that you're doing and how your body is feeling at the time. So put yourself back in control with that. If you're dealing with a pulsation machine, it's what I refer to as a mild or a low energy vertical. It's a nice, soothing, mild setting as an alternative. Maybe you're dealing with some severe neuropathy, or, you know, something in the feet, or you just want to target certain body parts. But oscillating in the long run is going to give you more strength, more stability, as I covered early on. The last movement, which is lateral, it's a newer movement. You know, there's not as much substance or research on that type of a movement. It's more of a feature or an add-on, but it's just variety. I find my users that are dealing with a lot of sensitivity in the head and just really don't like the head sensitivity. It's much less in that movement. And a lot of my, you know, congested lymph folks dealing with lymphedema, lipedema. Today is March 1st. It's Lymphedema Awareness Month. So I'll be doing some talks on that too. So there's lots of different reasons. What I want you to pay attention to more, you know, take suggestions from the pages and your manual, and don't even follow my word. I just want to give you, you know, some ammo to experiment for you, your comfort, your sensitivities, and you'll find your own groove. You know, if you're having a bad experience in any way, I just want to help you navigate, turn that around, and find a way to get you. It should be fun. This should be a pleasant experience. If you're looking forward to it, you're more likely going to stick with the consistency. Okay. I need my beverage. One moment. Vicky says, thank you for helping me with my lower back tightness. Yeah. You know what? Overdoing it is not an uncommon thing. And I used to freak out about it and feel all, oh my goodness, how do I avoid this next time? But, if you've overdone it, it's just, at least that you're trying, and unless you're getting up and getting on the machine or going for that walk or going to the park, you're not going to overdo anything. So if you have overdone it, it's unfortunate. Now I've told you that you can use your plate for a couple minutes just to recover. But it tells me that the effort is there. And so in the back of this trainer's mind, I'm kind of happy about that when I get those kind of comments. If that makes sense in a sick way. I see the closed caption button when I pan over with my mouse pointing. Pamela, let me know if that activated it for you. If not, I'll check with the Life Pro folks this week. I'm getting more and more fluent in this streaming every week, but I'm kind of on my own on the weekends. So I will look into that a little bit further and see if there's something I need to activate on my end. Feel free to drop me a private message if you're not still here and want to continue that conversation. Hello again, of course, to Diane. Wanda, your name looks awful familiar. I'm not sure where you're from, but hello. Remind me where you are from. And let me see who else. I think I missed everybody. I said hello to everybody. Well, I do see there's a few more of you here. If you're trying to comment, one of the things you may not be aware of, depending on where you're joining me from with Life Pro, the only way that you're going to be able to comment is if you're joining me through the event in the main page. So the Life Pro page, just make sure that that's where you're making the comments, not on what I've shared into the VIP group or the Life. There's a lot of places I try to share this, but make sure that you go into Life Pro's official page. Right now, I will do that so that if you do have questions, you post it in that live and I'll see it on my end. Let me just make sure I'm doing it right. There. So if you do have a question and you're typing and you're getting frustrated at me because I'm not seeing it, after the live, I see all your comments because I'm off of the live. But right now, unfortunately, if you want to comment with me real time, and I'll give you a few minutes to get over there, I've just dropped the link. You need to comment through there. So if you are looking for me, go there. Wanda's from Cleveland. I'm new to the group. Welcome to the group, Wanda. And I love Cleveland. I just watched Major League. Dating myself there. I haven't made it through. Have I made it through Cleveland? No, I think I almost made it through on my way to Dallas one time with an air flight kerfuffle. But it's actually somewhere some of my favorite customers are. I'd love to make it your way someday. So thank you for joining me. I think it's almost dinner time for you. I am, if anyone's curious, I am an hour north of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I was crazy enough almost 20 years ago with my husband to open a vibration studio in the small town that I grew up in. And in those days, there was no Amazon, there was no eBay, there was barely bank machines, dating myself again. And all that existed were the medical devices from research. And we've had just very good timing, good karma. I don't know how else to describe it. And I've had the benefit of working with both of the machines that probably created about 95 to 98% of the research available today. So I just have not only very long tenure in the industry, but a physical experience on these devices it's hard to translate that stuff through the internet. So, and I work with a lot of different vibration plate companies. I work with a lot of different other medical companies, but I'm live once a week with Life Pro for a reason. Sometimes it's about the support, and it's easy to go get caught up in the sale and the deal, and you select the machine. But I often find, and the reason I'm going to start doing these every month is, it's what do you do with it when you get home? I got this thing. Now what do I do? Right. So it's a real common thing. And I'm going to go back into the live today and I'm going to drop my contraindications. I'm also going to post just a very short of my own getting started video, a 6-minute crash course that condenses much of what I said today. Vicki says, I think it's wonderful that you work with children. Oh, thank you for stating that. Yes, again, it's an experience thing. I am not a doctor, don't diagnose, don't treat, but I've been fortunate enough. I support many medical professionals in their field, and in the cerebral palsy and pediatric special needs world, there is a lot of research and a lot of reasons that a vibration plate can make it so much more effective to do the required work at home. If there's exercises you need to do. And I mean, the kids love them. They love making little voice sounds. And the biggest issue I usually have with kids is actually trying to get them off the plate. And thank you for mentioning that. It's a privilege to have the experience that I do. And my own poor children were guinea pigs long before anyone else's were, I assure you. So, Pamela, may I ask how many hertz the Rumblex Max and how many motors does it have and how many programs does it have? That is not a 2-minute question. And even if I were to offer you those numbers, they're going to mean very little to you. There's different movement types, and each different movement type has its own set of specifications. So I'll try and give you the visual here, Pamela, very quick, but I do have another video I'll post so you can see that one after. Oscillating moves farther but slower. So the amount of amplitude or distance that it moves each time is variable. And as I explained, if your feet are in the center, you're moving less. If your feet are wide, you're moving more. So oscillating has variable amplitude depending on where you put your feet. And LifePro's models, depending on the one that you have, I don't pay attention to the books. Understand, I'm kind of an unbiased party, and I do my own verifications. I would say LifePro's top frequency across the board is in the 15 to 16 hertz range in oscillating. The Mini has slightly less and some of the hexaplates. They're more like 12, 13, depending. So that's how many times per second it's moving. The speeds are just a way of breaking that frequency down into more variety on the speed end. In pulsation is mild vertical. So vertical, and this is, you really got to be careful on the internet because it's not one number. It's 3 or 4 numbers actually. But in vertical, they have much higher speeds. So a lot of the vertical guys are out there saying, oh, well, 40 hertz is best for this. Well, on that style of plate, perhaps. Okay. So vertical goes anyway, depending on the model, if you've got the turbo or one of the Rumblexes, and there's different Rumblex models as well. But I would say the average vertical speeds in the world, vertical machines tend to go in the 30 to 50 range. It really depends on what the manufacturer. Some of them have, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. They don't have as much adjustability. They're not 1 hertz at a time as they are in the oscillating. They tend to be presets. And the amplitude, the amount that you're moving, is fixed. So you can't adjust that factor. It's only the speed that you can play with. But here's where the catch is, Pamela. In vertical, the machine, the study, there's a couple studies out there that really showcase that 40 to 50 hertz range. The machines that created the research demonstrate about 4 millimeters of amplitude. They're very high force machines. I've had many of them. I used to beat seniors up on them in the studio back in my day. And there's a lot of head buzz. It's not harmful, as I said, but it's really not preferred as a movement. They tend to be louder. And what happened is these machines started coming over to North America in the late 90s, early 2000s, is they didn't have people to show you how to use them. They'd throw them in shopping malls. They didn't put them in places where people like me and LifePro had access to support where you could learn. So many of the vertical machines, true vertical machines, just really don't exist anymore. And the milder pulsation and those that do claim vertical, the amplitude is about 0.5. Again, I know that manuals may state differently, but the amplitude that is stated or the frequency that is stated is always the top speed. It doesn't show you the ranges. So in the home market, they are on average very similar. I would say LifePro, some of the models on that 15, 16 and oscillating pulsation, you are fixed at about 1/2 to 1 millimeter of movement, depending on what setting you're using, because there's some variable ones as well. Lateral, if you use lateral at all, is also fixed. You don't have the adjustability in how much it's moving. I believe, depending on the model, is 7 to 8 millimeters. How far it's moving you side to side each time. The frequency, sorry, I'm getting parched. I told you it wasn't a simple answer. But it's a more important, I want you guys to understand it. If somebody's out there, oh yeah, set it to 40 hertz and do it for 5 minutes, they're only telling you this much of the truth. And I'm coming from a place, your osteoporosis has advanced and you don't want to take a whole bunch of drugs and you're doing what you can. I want you to understand that any machine out there is going to accomplish all the benefits. There are some that are stronger than others. You may not need to spend as much time on them, or every machine has its own performance characteristics. What it boils down to is budget for most people and how it feels. So I have $15,000-$20,000 vibration machines all over the place, and I spent my time doing that. But what I found when I became more of a coach is most people are working with what they can afford, and that fell into the $500 to $600 home machine. Life Pro, I've been doing this a long time, and they're probably the only company that actually offers any training and support in excess. You've got videos, you've got Facebook pages. You can get. I was on the phone with Vicky the day before yesterday. So they make themselves accessible. They do not specialize, and they are not training experts, and they are not researchers. And a lot of times there's people that have just a different perspective and different skills and experience. And I just want you guys to know that you have access to that. And I thank Life Pro for giving me the opportunity every week to ramble my passion, which is the plates. What I try to do, Pamela, is simplify it for you. So oscillating, that movement takes a little bit more to understand because there's more things that you can control. And because it is the one movement that all of Life Pro's plates offer. So I encourage you, if you've got a Rumblex, experiment with the settings just as much as I was encouraging the settings in just oscillating. So if you're looking for using a certain speed or a certain type of movement to obtain a certain benefit, you're being misled by my marketing to a degree. And unfortunately, that's the way that the world is. Even Life Pro has to get your attention somehow online, and they've done a much better job. But if they were to list every single benefit associated with these machines, there'd be 15 pages for you to read through, let alone how you accomplish them. That's very much an individual thing. And it starts with what you're able and willing to do, if that makes sense. So Pamela, I went way off on tangent there, but I will drop you another video. Your head is probably spinning already, but it gets into the movement types, the safety aspects. And as I mentioned, I will also drop my contraindication video so you guys can have a cruise through that as well. My contraindications are different than Life Pro's. I've specialized in vibration plates for 20 years. So, what I talk about and what I use them for is probably very different than Amber and Roseanne do in their sessions. There's never one way to use this. It's up to you to kind of experiment. Do you like Chinese medicine? Do you like going and seeing an orthopedic? There's different modalities. There's different ways to use a vibration plate and experiment to come up with the best formula for you. Pamela says, I have not gotten the Rumblex mat, still deciding. Thank you so much. Pamela, tell me very briefly, so I can shorten the learning curve a little further, what's the big goal? Like, what are you looking at getting a machine for? And if you're dealing with any, are you an exercise guru now, or are you coming from a place of just getting started, chronic health? I do have a selecting the right plate video. Oh my goodness, look at, no wonder my collar's been bugging me the whole, my sweater's on backwards. So while Pamela replies to me, no woman has never done this, right? How embarrassing that my sweater is background on camera. Oh, I feel so much. Have you noticed me all session? I've been doing this. Well, no wonder. So embarrassed. See how human I am? I'll start talking about this point though, Pamela. There's lots of different Rumblexes. If you're wanting the biggest plate, the most surface, you're going to be massaging it all the time. You plan on doing everything. Top of the line is the Relax-A-Vibe. That's the one Vicky's using. My top two general picks tend to be the Rumblex Max and the Rumblex Plus. Those two plates are flat surface. And I've got a couple of very large private groups that support some really wonky chronic issues, hypermobility, all those things that I always talk about. So I prefer being functional, and the floor is not curved. And if it is, you'd probably be stumbling all over. So the curved plates tend to offer what I call more resistance. So your body's got to work a little harder to keep a good position. And that's a great option for if you're athletic now, you want to up your training, you like the challenge. That you might want to lean more towards the curves. But if you just want to get going, you're not planning on running any marathons, but you want the added features and the variety of the Rumblex, go with the Max or the Plus. They're a little bit lighter. You also asked about motors, and this is a very important point. Many companies out there go, oh, well, this one's got 3 motors. That one's got 2. Like, motors equate to how many movement types. So that you can't have it all. Okay, I'm gonna explain. LifePro doesn't sell this little itty bitty machine anymore, but isn't it cute? I love it. It's got a slight little curve. This was called the Micro. And in reality, I want a little machine. I want something I can put in my purse. And, LifePro's really good about delivering what you guys ask of them. But sometimes until things get into practice, something like this is awesome for like a lot of my little kids, but it's not too great for the 6'4", football player, right? But you see, somebody online doing a squat on it, so it's the workout machine. In a little machine like that, you've only got so much room. That plate is oscillating movement. Oscillating is 1 motor. If you want a machine that also has pulsation, that is a second motor. Another movement, another motor. One motor doesn't just change how it functions and change ways. So 1 motor drives this motion. 1 motor drives this motion. If you want lateral on top of that, 1 motor drives this. So the Romblex models, why are they so massive and heavy? Because they've got 3 motors, 3 components for those motors. They're encompassing more. And that's why they tend to be like, if you looked at my scale of machines, those tend to be more towards the general public. Maybe you're not athletic right now, but you're getting back to it and will be down the road. So if you're leaning more towards simple operation, I want to be able to move it around. I don't want to think about all these complicated programs and features. I just want to get on it and shake. Stick with a simple oscillating movement. You're not going to necessarily get more benefits with more functions. I disagree with that mentality. There is some truth to it, but the benefits, as I said, they really come from you using it regularly. So the Mini, the Waver, if they're single oscillating movement, they have 1 motor. Therefore, guess what? They tend to be a little lighter. They're a little easier to move around. So if you're going to be using this thing for symptom management, or you want to use it regularly because you have chronic fatigue, maybe you're going to move it from the bedroom to the kitchen during the day, and then into the living room at night, and then back to the bedroom. So sometimes I've got a hair in my face from switching my sweater. Sometimes the best plate is more about visualizing how you're going to implement it into your lifestyle. If it's at the end of the hallway and you don't have the energy left at 5 o'clock to get down there, you're not going to be using it regularly, right? And this is also the reason sometimes people end up with 2 or 3 machines. Okay. I specialize. So this is what you see on camera. You don't even see what I got stacked behind camera, but maybe you have a workout room in a dedicated space, but you also want to have one at the office. The littler, more compact machines with the therapeutic bumps, they're great for seated use. I don't necessarily, the smaller a machine gets, you can get exercise benefits, but it's going to be really hard to do like mean wide squats and big push-ups on something that is tippy and weighs 8 pounds. So a little bit of logic there. The bumps are better therapeutic application if you're a large user, if you're a tall user, and want to do lots of standing. They tend to dig into the feet a little bit. But you know what? Sometimes that's all budget can allow, and maybe that's your starting point. So put a mat on it. There's different things I can help you navigate through, regardless of what budget you might be dealing with and what body you're starting with. So there's never the best machine for every situation. There's never the best setting, and the settings aren't universal between machines for that matter either. Some have 60 speeds, some have 90. It really sometimes depends on the model that you're seeking, but the overall performance behind the scenes, the frequencies, the specs are absolutely similar. You appeal more to what features you're interested in. Do you want Bluetooth speakers? Do you want more accessories? Maybe look at the Pro. So each machine has its own little value adds, and I suggest that's a better way to compare them. And again, I stress, if you're looking simple, you're not wanting to spend a whole lot of money, I think you're going to find a lot of value between the Waver Mini. And, if weight is a concern, I should touch on that briefly. A lot of people, what's weight capacity? Weight capacity doesn't always necessarily mean that you're a larger user. Maybe you like lifting weights on it, or you like adding mass. Adding mass to your frame is a really quick way to increase strength and bone density. So, you need to take your body weight and what you're adding to your body to the plate. I spend a lot of time standing on the plate while I'm holding a child sometimes. So I don't need to worry about the size of the child, but maybe it's a geriatric user. Yes, I stand on the plates with my clients. Sometimes you just need to hold on to somebody or something to get that level of comfort. So, I could be pushing a plate to 300-400 pounds, even though I personally don't exceed that. So just little things to keep in mind depending on how you plan to use the plate. It's an environment. I just want you to get creative. You are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. So stay curious. Diane Murray, I love the simplicity of the mini waiver now that I'm getting back into vibration. Funny story, and we're not going to name any names, but Diane has known me since my medical grade machine days, and she was kind enough to invest in a medical grade vibration plate, and times changed, and unfortunately, she no longer had that machine, and she just recently got into a Life Pro Mini, and she loves it. And it's got about a third of the performance of the medical grade device that she had, but I'm betting it was about a tenth of the price, Diane. So, the research is important. It creates a foundation, but it is not an absolute thing, guys. And anybody that is spouting this number or that setting, or anything negative at all about any kind of vibration machine, Reebok and Nike do that, right? But we all know running shoes are running shoes. Coke and Pepsi challenge. I'm dating myself. They're both cola. So the benefits, in my experience over 20 years, are absolutely there on either type. It's the consistency, sticking with it, and your preference. If you don't like how it feels, you're not going to be using it regularly. So find what your feel is. And if you need some help with some specific exercises or goals you're trying to accomplish, I will drop my list to all of my Life Pro sessions in here. There's numbers of them. I do have many specifically talking medical conditions, symptom specific for those of you dealing with those things, right up to fitness and training and those types of things. And of course, there's Amber's and Roseanne's videos as well. So make sure you're a part of the Life Pro VIP group. If you are not, Life Pro has a couple of main groups. There's a couple of, I don't know if they're fan clubs or what I would classify them as, but the VIP group is private. You can request membership if you answer all 4 questions. You will get approved to the group. So make sure that you're completing them for those of you that are maybe asking me why you haven't been accepted yet. Diane says actually about a 20th of the same price, and it basically the same thing as the medical grade machine that I didn't use enough to justify the cost. Sometimes, the more performance, the more motors. I'm not sure if I'm correct, but I think there was an incident with Diane unable to get her machine through the door, and that really sucks. I got her all talked into pulling it into the kitchen, and then she couldn't get it through the bedroom door. So what's going to fit your lifestyle? Pay attention to that, simplify the equation, and I'm here to simplify the learning curve on what you do with it when you get home. I hope that makes sense. If I've got no more questions, we're just getting into girl talk. Who's here? Ooh, Pamela says, I'm not an exercise guru. I do 1 hour of exercise 5 days a week. The goal is weight loss, recovery, bone strength. I have a kettlebell, medicine ball, resistance bands for strength training. Also, you got a few toys in your arsenal. So keep it simple. Practice that squat. Pick up the kettlebell. Maybe use some resistance bands. I prefer 1 or 2 moves that I do really good. And then I challenge myself. Maybe I'm putting on a weight vest, or maybe you're picking up the kettlebell. Maybe you're starting to add some movements to build up those biceps. You are only, again, limited by your imagination and your range of motion. And you add those things once you feel comfortable. So it's more important to make sure you feel stable, make sure you feel comfortable moving around. Then you can use the exact same exercises. And by adding more mass, of course, you're going to burn more calories, gain more strength. But that's a really good way to boost that bone density. So I'm glad you've got those tools to play with. And if you exceed the kettlebells and the resistance bands, go grab a couple jugs of milk or a backpack and get creative. There's a lot of easy ways without spending more money. If you do want to spend more money, my kind of favorite 2 go-tos, I love my weight vest if I'm doing total body things, but I love my Triform adjustable barbell. And then I've got a set of the up to 55-pound adjustable dumbbells as well. So I like being able to change the amount of mass that I'm using. If I'm doing legs, I can sometimes handle a little bit more. If I'm moving, I don't like using as much because I tend to stress my knee out a little bit. Or maybe I'm, doing some lunges, so it kind of depends on the exercise that I'm doing, but they're a really easy way to not only add more mass to the total body, but start sculpting those arms. We're not quite there yet, but tank top season is just around the corner and I am not up to par. So I hope that helps. Marita says, thank you so much. I just got my machine and I'm afraid to use it. I feel much more comfortable now. Oh, Marika, thank you. That's totally, I know I'm rambling, but honest to gosh, if I could be the world expert or one of them in vibration plates and here today teaching you how to use this, anyone can do this. It's getting over that fear. It's the fear that I don't want to say hurts us, but it keeps us from, experimenting and being curious. And fear is coming from a place of poor information. If it's coming from a place of poor experience, it's related to poor information. But try some of my tips today. Bring those feet closer. It completely changes the experience and dramatically reduce the amount of time that you're spend doing it. It helps a lot. Thank you so much again, Debbie. I probably am rambling at this point, but oh well. What I would like to invite is if you guys like today and you think that I should keep doing, I do sessions every week, but I would like to have a regular time, like first Saturday of the month at 2 p.m. or last Thursday of the month, or, give me your suggestions today as to times, if weekends are better, evenings. And I would like to get something more regular. So not only for your own mind, but if you're in the group and interacting in that awesome VIP community that we have, tell other people about these sessions. Deb's live on such and such a time, or, oh, I saw Roseanne was going to be doing a session on this, or, oh, Amber's doing a product launch. Life Pro tries its very, very best to let everybody know. Not everybody wants to know. Not everybody wants the notifications. Sometimes Facebook only lets so many people know. So you can't win the war. The group is growing exponentially. So if this is interested for you, search my name. Know that this will be once a month. I'm just going to iron out when that is, and we'll be doing this on a regular basis. And join me next month. I'll be here live Monday afternoon again for other things, but that event is not up yet. Thanks for joining me, guys. If you're watching this on a recorded basis over the weekend, I will be keeping watch. Please feel free to post your questions here. If it's related to today's session and something that just wasn't quite clear, or maybe you have something specific, if you are looking at buying something, 20% off with Life Pro right now online. Get your butts over there. I dropped a link a little bit earlier to their site. I'm pretty sure that I did. And take advantage of inventory while it's in stock. And I will also drop the videos I've mentioned today. So give me about 5-10 minutes to get things cut up here. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. High five, Martika. I'm not. I'm saying it. It's Marita. It's Marita. Marita Malda Beeman. Okay. If I didn't say that right, correct me. I'm Debbie with a Y, so I never get the keychain and I never get mispronounced, but I always try to make an effort of making sure that I get your name right and then it's registered up here. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great weekend. Don't work too hard. Thanks, Wanda. Thanks again, Diane. So great to see you. Thanks for showing up today. This was fun.